Welcome back. This is Court from Dr. Greenlawn. Yesterday we unboxed this MTD RZT rear zero turn twin bagger, 6.5 bushel bagger for a residential lawnmower of the brands that are made by MTD manufacturing. Now make sure that you remember that this particular twin rear bagger is the model number 19C70020. OEM, which stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer. So yesterday we unbagged this and today we're going to install it. So please follow along step by step. This is the model of mower that this twin bagger is going to go on. This is a Craftsman Z6400. It has a 24 horsepower Briggs & Stratton V-twin engine and it has a 46-inch cutting deck. This is a mower that's again produced by MTD Manufacturing, who also produces Cub Cadet and a few other lines. The number one thing you want to remember before you do any kind of installation is to lay out all the parts. That was the box that we showed on the last video, the unboxing, and here you can see I've laid out all of the different parts so I can see what I have to work with before I start the installation. It's all in one nice neat place. I don't have to wonder where anything is. The first step in the assembly manual, which is page 4, talks about putting together the mounting bracket that's going to go on the back of the lawn tractor. So for this part you need the mounting brackets and the cross brace, and you need the hardware that comes in packet number 689-00320. For this mounting bracket, you're going to need a 1/2-inch ratchet head for both the carriage bolt and the flange nuts. So once you've put those 1/2-inch carriage bolts in place, all you need to do is just crank them down, and then this brace will be ready to put on the back end of the lawn tractor. The next step is we're going to install the support bracket that holds up the bagger mechanism from the support brace you just installed. But one key thing to make sure you understand is that when you install this, if you have a 42-inch deck versus a 46-inch deck, the mounting location for the bracket on the rear brace is going to be different. So you got to make sure that you catch that. Now I've got a 46-inch, and so mine is going to have to line up with this hole right here. And that bolt is going to go right there in the middle of the hanging assembly, and the nut is supposed to face the engine. So we can see that this is going to go on the other side. The next step is to put the plastic chute support on the rear right side hanging bracket. So that does just snap on there, and so you got to make sure that you're very carefully and firmly just snapping it in. It is plastic. You do want to make sure that you don't break it, but it is pretty darn tough, so I don't think it was going to at any point. So you can see here that we've got the bagger top, the bin top, and the next step in the manual addresses whether or not this interior cover, it sort of looks like a vent sort of, has been installed at the factory or not. So in my box it was. So I'm getting ready to hang that on to the hangers right there. For the next step, you're going to go ahead and take the bin top, and this is where you have to pay attention. There are some hinge stops on the top of the hanging brackets that you have to take a look for and make sure that you find. And you can see those. There's a window right here, and so when you put this on, you've got to drop it down and make sure that it's lining up correctly. Alright, and then you'll see this hinge stop right here, and then you're going to go ahead and put the hinge pin all the way through this. At this stage I actually found it helpful to get out a little hammer and help bang that pin in. It'd be ideal just to use a little rubber mallet in there, but something small so that you can get it into that space. So when you get that hinge pin is installed, you can see back here, okay? That's what it's going to look like underneath the bagger. It goes all the way through, and then it basically hits the stop over here. And then you're done with that. Here's the easiest step in the whole process, is simply grabbing those bags and hanging them on those hangers right there. That's the business end of this whole contraption. So there you've got your 6.5 bushel capacity for collecting all that junk off of the yard. The next step is going to be to install the deck chute elbow onto the discharge area on the mower deck itself. One of the items you're going to need for this is the wing knob, okay, that's going to go on the back of the chute elbow. You can kind of see back there where it's going to connect. Come back more to that in a second. So that's going to be in bag 689000318A. So on this step, it's pretty simple. We're going to attach this pin up here. You can see there's a hinge up here that it slides into, and then on the back side we're going to put that wing knob. So that should be pretty easy. Now it's time to put that bolt, that 1/2-inch bolt back there in the slot on the back. When you're installing the deck chute elbow, it does address that you might have an older deck model that might need some of the additional mounting hardware that was in the last bag that I showed you. Now, my particular model doesn't require that. I think it's because I have that hinge up front that takes that bolt. But should you have that older deck model that they're referring to, you will have the hardware for that. Unfortunately, I can't show you that since it doesn't correspond to my deck. For the upper chute, the next step addresses putting the self-adhesive foam strip on the flange, as you can see in the instructions. You can see from the manual the intention of that foam strip is for that upper discharge chute to be able to rest comfortably into the grass catchers and have a weather-tight seal, as well as protecting the plastic. So that's going to be the next step. We're going to go ahead and put that in there. Before installing the upper chute, it specifies that you need to lower your mowing deck to the lowest set possible. So do make sure that you're doing that. And the fundamentals of that is so that that's going to rest low as you're installing it. To connect to the upper and the lower chute, you just wiggle this upper chute down with this bellow section right over the lower chute. It doesn't appear that there's anything that fastens it. It sits on there pretty tight. So that's pretty nice. That see-through section is going to be very useful for seeing how the leaves are moving through there. The last step specifies installing a counterweight because of the additional weight that's been put on the back of this mower, especially given the fact that these are zero turns. And with zero turn mowers, they are already naturally back heavy. So you can see the parts that will be installed here on the front of this Craftsman Z6400. You can see the bracket and the weight, and then the bolts. And the bolts are coming in hardware pack 689000325. So we're going to go ahead and hang the brackets on there. It looks like for this particular Craftsman model, it's going to be these brackets here that I'm going to be putting on, and then I'm going to be hanging those right on the front there, underneath my my number there, between the two fixed axles there, the wings. According to the manual, at this point we're going to need the two 2.5 inch screws and the 3/8 flange nuts to go through the weight hangers that are going to sit off of these front axles here. So let's go ahead and put that together. Okay, I'm going to affix these to the backs of this pretty good sized weight. So we can see how this big old counterweight just sits right down on these front axles. Okay? And the last step is going to be to put these long bolts, all right, that are in that last hardware packet back through these little hangers. You can see those right there, right up above the wheel. There's another one over there. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now. The MTD 19C70020. And this is the final product. You can see it installed on this mower. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Okay, you've got the counterweight up front that's been installed. You've got the bin bagger back here, 6.5 bushel bagger. Okay, it's been all installed nicely. And you've got the discharge chute, and you've got the see-through section to take a look at how the leaves and material are moving through there. It's all looking pretty good. So this is Court from Dr. Greenlawn. Thanks for tuning in. Next video coming up is going to be for a review of how well it works. Got some yards to clean up coming up real quick.